Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more relationship stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, that subscribe, maybe that notification bell too. As I always say, it massively helps out the channel and I can never express how much of a difference that really does make, so thank you so much. And let's crack on with today's first story. Now today's first story comes from a throwaway account. It's titled, "My boyfriend, 26 male, found out I'm 26 female, rich, and started using it against me." And of course will be followed with an update. So my boyfriend and I met through a dating app 8 months ago. We've had a good, steady relationship. I come from a well-off family, but my parents never spoiled me. They taught me not to indulge in excess and to keep my privilege in mind when interacting with people. I'm currently living in an apartment with only my salary. I haven't told my boyfriend about my wealth. I wasn't actively hiding it, it just didn't come up. My birthday was a few weeks ago and my parents threw a party at our home. Our home is a medium-sized villa. My boyfriend started scowling when I told him that was the home I grew up in. When I asked him about it, he told me it was nothing and started smiling again. His mood got worse as more and more of my parents' rich friends started coming in. When I asked him about it the next day, he just told me that he was feeling a little sick. After we got back, he asked me why I hid the fact I was rich. I told him that I wasn't hiding it, but he started bringing it up in every conversation after that, like him telling me that I didn't know how to cook properly because I was spoiled. He brought it up with his friends, telling them I was a spoiled princess who had everything handed to me. It started as jokes, but it got more hostile as the days went on. When I brought this up, he told me I didn't know normal people problems because I was rich. Did I do something wrong? What should I do? And as I said, we do have an update on that. So for 8 months, this guy was absolutely fine with you. You had a steady relationship and you never mentioned about your wealth, but as soon as it was mentioned, he started turning against you, making jokes about you, being hostile towards you. You know, this is one of those situations where I think, do you really want to be with that person anymore? It's been 8 months, you haven't been together years, and I just can't see his behavior just suddenly changing now. Now he started doing this, I can only see it escalating or getting worse because of his own immaturity, insecurities maybe. But in my opinion, you need to take a step back and just say to yourself, do I deserve to be treated like this because of the way I was brought up? It's obvious, isn't it? So absolutely not the arsehole. Wrong subreddit. But Anna13 says 3 words, only 8 months. He's 26 years old and acting like a teenage arsehole. Don't waste your time on this guy. Heads up if you decide to dump him. He might tell people because he was too poor for you. If you got any of those rude jokes on text, I would save them. The Mirror's Truth says, well, technically you are not rich, your parents are. Did he discuss his parents' income with you when you started dating? Drop the man-child though. He doesn't get to dismiss your feelings now due to his own assumptions. Archduke Toes says, you didn't do anything wrong. You can't change where you came from, and if he didn't clock that you had a wealthy upbringing for 8 months, then he's either incredibly stupid or you clearly aren't a spoiled princess in the least. Honestly, I think there comes a point where you have to ask yourself if you could unsee this side of him. He's brought it up with his friends, insulted you to your face and dismissed your objections. None of that is acceptable, and you really want to continue being in a relationship with someone who constantly puts you down for something out of your control. That'd be £50. And sorry to butt in again, but that's a very good point what that comment just brought up. It's like when we cover a lot of these stories, it's like, can you unsee that part of someone in the future? Can you forgive them for what they are doing right now? That always pops into my head when I'm reading these stories as well. But Urban Escape says, dump him. I've had stuff in my fridge longer than you've had this boyfriend. You barely know the dude and he is now showing you what he is really like. If he is an asshole this quickly, imagine what he would be like middle-aged and downtrodden. Basil15 says, what should you do? Dump him. This guy is clearly immature and I wouldn't want to spend the rest of my life with a guy who's going to insult me like that, whatever his justifications. And a final comment from Binka Bonka who says, fuck that, you've got to end this. This is clearly something he's incredibly insecure about. It's only going to get worse. What happens later? He starts asking for money or starts making you feel like shit about something you had no control about growing up. Wealth is success, and if someone is jealous of that, it's ridiculous. And whilst I agree with, the dumping him kind of thing, I don't agree with wealth is success. But anyway, we're going to move on to that update now to see what happens next. So the update came a couple of days later and it said, after I made the Reddit post, I tried to have a conversation with him, but he kept stonewalling me. He made more snide comments and I decided to break up. When I told him that I was leaving him, it felt like he was expecting it. He called me a rich bitch and went on a rant about how I was leaving him because he was poor. Some commenters told me to expect this, but it still came as a shock. He and I have very good salaries and I don't know why he said that. He was a good person most of the time I knew him. Some people asked me why I didn't warn him about my wealth. All my relationships before him were people in my social class, so the expectation of wealth was implicit. Having wealth was not a big deal in any of my previous relationships, so I assumed it was the same in this one too. I'll warn my partners before taking them home in my future relationships. This is a tangent, but I wanted to talk about "I'm not rich, my parents are" thing that many comments suggested. A lot of my friends from wealthy families use that line as a defense, but it is misleading. If I wanted to, I could dip into my parents' finances. I choose not to, but it is my wealth too. It might technically be my parents' money, but it still makes me wealthy. And having wealthy parents comes with a lot of privileges, even if I don't actively use their money. I never had to work a job when I was studying. I had access to the best schooling, I don't have student loans, and my parents' connections open a lot of doors. Having a safety net let me find what I was good at and let me take risks. So, unless they are estranged from their families, children from wealthy families are also wealthy. I thank all the people who commented on my original post and gave me advice. I felt like I was doing something wrong, but you made me see that it was his insecurity and jealousy that was the issue. When OP said that they might potentially warn people in the future, before they go to their house that their family is rich, I'm not sure how I feel about that, if that would be the right choice to make. Maybe I'm completely wrong there, but it just feels like it could open up, other issues going on. And I was reading the comments below this one, and someone came in and they said that, they felt like they was the guy in this position. Obviously they're not the guy, but they've been in a similar position before. And Willie Drib says, gonna comment as someone who found themselves as a similar position as the guy here. I'll preface this by saying we didn't immediately break up over the issue, but it was always something hanging over our heads that didn't help. From my standpoint, I grew up pretty low class, not just monetarily, but culturally. When I found out the person I was in a relationship with was obscenely wealthy, I wasn't envious, but I was fearful of a lifetime of myself and my family not measuring up to her family and their friends. I was desperately afraid of my family being looked down upon, made fun of, or talked about behind their back for being who they were and from the means they came from. I felt like I could trust her, not to judge them or me, but I didn't feel like I could trust anyone else in her life not to look down upon them or me. Maybe that comes from a place of prejudice against obscenely wealthy people, particularly those from older generations. But I'd experienced it firsthand enough, among college friends, families in particular, that it wasn't totally unfounded. Alternatively, there's always a fear of the implication that you just married for money, which is especially bad as a male in a society that, by default, expects you to be a provider and entirely self-sufficient. My take here, that's a possibility the guy was heartbroken and just handled it in a shitty way. He realized that, from his perspective, that was never going to work with this person and lashed out at her over it because he found out about it so late. And I read that basically because I found it interesting to hear about the insecurities of someone that's been in that position. Not that I agree with OP in the story, calling someone a rich bitch, being insulting, treating someone like they did in this situation because they are wealthy, it's just not acceptable, it's not on. But I did find the comment interesting. Anyway, let me know your thoughts in this story in the comments below, and let's move on to another one. And our next story comes from Insulted Brother, who says, am I the asshole for calling my brother an idiot when he believed my nephew is my kid? I don't even know how this all started, but that seems to be what he thinks now. Only because I, 30 male, was in a relationship with his wife, Maeve, 30 female, when we were freshmen until our junior year of high school. My brother, 32 male, and I weren't in each other's lives at the time because he was living with our mum a few hours away, and I was with my dad, so he never knew about me and Maeve. They started dating years later. It was weird once we all knew, but I told my brother if he loves her, then go for it. At the time, I was already with someone else. Also, I'd moved on from having any feelings for Maeve. Now they are married. My nephew is 7. Now suddenly, he told the family he's staying at his friend's house because he has a strong reason to believe my nephew isn't his kid. He only thinks I'm my nephew's father because he looks a lot like me. And again, I'm an exact copy of my dad, while my brother definitely looks more like mum. So I don't know why he isn't accusing him too. He won't tell me why he's questioning paternity out of nowhere. Maeve's only said that they had a misunderstanding during an argument. Now this is what's in his head, but won't give us any more details. The last time we talked, he told me he wants a paternity test to prove it. The fact he believes I'd do something like that alone angered me enough to call him a fucking idiot for not understanding how genetics works. We're brothers, so of course there's a chance our kid might look like the other, but it doesn't mean anything. I put a lot of emphasis on how much of a dumbass I think he is for that thought alone, so that's why I'm here wondering. My dad told me my brother is clearly going through something. His mind probably isn't clear, so to insult his intelligence like that was going way too far. My brother obviously seems to think I'm an asshole too, hence why I'm asking if that's accurate after all. And on this one, we're going to jump straight to the comments before that update. So you have no idea what the details were in their argument, so I'm thinking that Maeve said something really bad and now won't admit it. Maeve is kind of the arsehole for not clearing the air with the family. Not the arsehole OP, and keep letting your brother know that you would never do anything like that. Maybe without calling him a fucking idiot. And Niana says, and quotes, he only thinks I'm my nephew's father because he looks like me, then says, I'm sorry, I cackled at that. Quotes, my dad told me my brother is clearly going through something. His mind probably isn't clear, so to insult his intelligence like that was going way too far. Then goes on to say, I agree that he's probably going through something. I don't think you went too far in calling him an idiot. Then quotes, my brother obviously seems to think I'm an asshole too, hence why I'm asking if that's accurate after all. And then says, nah, he's insecure because you dated her first. He let his mind take him to a place where he isn't thinking rationally. I don't think it's anything malicious against you or his wife, just issues he's had the whole time based off being with your ex. You're not the arsehole, he is, and he might be costing himself his marriage and a brother because he let his insecurities make him take things too far. Andy Cat says not the arsehole, if the shoe fits. Your brother's the arsehole and he's being intentionally obtuse. Your father's right, there's something going on and he's using your prior relationship with Maeve as an excuse. Get the test, put this to rest, then demand your brother take an IQ test. Quarantine in the South says in quotes, the last time we talked he told me he wants a paternity test to prove it. Then goes on to say, several comments here seem to think he asked you to do the paternity test, but if they are right, your brother is more of an idiot than I first thought. Why would he need you to do the paternity test when he could do it himself, in case he wasn't the bio father? Wouldn't the results tell him if he is at least blood related to nephew and therefore if bio father can be a sibling? Not the arsehole, by the way. And one more from Sleeping Lizard who says not the arsehole. This is a big accusation which, assuming it's based only on the fiction, his mind really makes your brother the arsehole here. Even if there's some additional stuff going on in his relationship, we don't know. He's being an arsehole to you, and if not, then he's being an arsehole to everyone. Yes, clearly he's going through something and that is very unfortunate for him, but he's taking whatever that is out on you, which is not fair. Was calling him a fucking idiot kind? No, but he accused you of having an affair with his wife, so I don't think you're an arsehole for responding that way. And I don't know why everyone is telling you to take a paternity test here. If he wants a paternity test, he should take one. That doesn't need to involve you at all, unless somehow his results indicate he's a non-paternal relative. So then the update came 10 days later which said, not sure if anyone still cares, but I know a few wanted an update about this. The whole thing was a lot crazier than I originally thought. Even if the final judgment said I wasn't the arsehole, I still apologised anyways for insulting him, just so that my hands are clean of this. But I still told my brother how hurtful it is that he doubt my word. Instead of trying to ask me, he outright accused me of having an affair with his wife and fathering a child with her. If he seriously thinks it was me, then I'd do the test. He'd have to pay for it, but he better get used to not having me around because we are done after this. Clearly, the test came back showing I'm not the father, only showing what percentage of DNA we share given that we're uncle and nephew. Not only that, a day after posting this I reached out to Maeve again demanding to know what this whole thing started from. Pretty much he suspected she was having an affair because one time he came to her work and she wasn't there. Later on that day, she acted like she did go, but he never told her he stopped by. In reality, she had to consult with a lawyer because she decided to get a divorce, but he didn't know about the divorce at the time. My brother still thought she was maybe cheating and he went through her stuff. Maeve admitted that my brother found her personal journal. She didn't want to tell my family the details about the fight because it was regarding what he read from her journal, and some stuff was about her still having feelings for me. He confronted her, so that's how he misinterpreted the whole thing, thinking it was an affair with me. Even though she said in her journal she never wrote it to sound like we were having an affair. She was only admitting still being in love and feeling guilty about being with him only for my nephew's sake. I heard my brother's side too, once he was more calm. He too admitted that it got into his head when really nothing in the journal said anything about us. While now I can understand his feelings about what was going on, I still can't forgive him for the way he acted since then. Again, he never asked to hear my side before jumping to accusations. He apologized for it. Maeve did too for unintentionally dragging me into this because she didn't want anyone to find out about her feelings. It's pretty complicated. I needed a day to unplug just to process everything. As far as I know, my brother still hasn't come back to their house. Maeve is still moving forward with the divorce process. Whole thing is a mess. My mum keeps trying to push me to talk to my brother because he feels bad about how he treated me, but I already set my condition for doing the paternity test. If he was so sure I'd be the kind of brother to betray him that way, then we have no business having a relationship. For now, that's what I'm sticking to. Then a question was asked in info. Has she said anything about what made her seek divorce in the first place? OP replied saying she told me she wanted to divorce because it wasn't fair to have feelings for someone else and not feel anything for him. Someone else said, sorry, but people do stupid things and say stupid things that they deeply regret later. And when you are overly emotional, they can be really stupid. You have every right to choose not to speak to your brother anymore, but you could also choose to accept his apology if it is sincere and forgive him. He was kind of out of his mind, and you know that Maeve gave him reasons to believe it, to which OP replied saying she didn't give him any reason. He jumped to that conclusion himself. Now, what do you guys make of this one? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and we're going to have one more cheeky little story. And this one was a suggestion from Helpy over on Twitter, and it's from the user Little Stupid Whore from the subreddit r/offmychest. It says, I'm in love with my gym bro. I, male 22, fell in love with my gym bro, male 24. Problem being, I thought I was straight. This all started a few months ago. I noticed this guy at my gym and I knew something was immediately off. I was like nervous to even look at him, but I decided to get rid of that nervousness and just talk to him. He was actually really nice and funny and we quickly became buddies. Then about 2 weeks later, my girlfriend broke up with me. I told him that and we had a heart-to-heart where he casually came out as gay. But that initial offness that I felt when I first saw him didn't go away. I quickly started to piece together that it was the same feeling I get when I look at a really pretty girl. And over the months, it's been increasingly hard to be near him because he's just so gorgeous, I guess. Whenever I go to sleep, I just imagine him there snuggled up to me. I just want to text him all the time and just want to kiss him so bad. I guess this is me coming out as bi. I met a beautiful guy at the gym and we became best friends. I love his personality and he makes me laugh non-stop, and not gonna lie, he's mad thick. I want to ask him out so bad. Update, at the gym right now. We're gonna do our sets, and when we leave I'm gonna walk him to his car and tell him, thanks for the courage everyone. Update 2. I'm fucking crying in my car right now, holy shit. He said yes. So I walked into his car and I told him, and bruh, the way I couldn't speak, lol, I was so nervous. But basically, he said he kind of thought I was into him cause I only catch you respectfully staring at my butt so many times before it's a little sus. But I told him that I'm bi and we're going on a date Friday. But like bruh, he looked so flustered and cute when I told him. He had the prettiest smile. And for all the people saying stuff about my vocab and texting, I'm a history major, not smart. My vocab consists of, I guess, like, I don't know, bruh, and fucking. But anyways, I guess we're a little more than just gym bros now. I seriously couldn't have done this if this didn't get so much random ass support, lol. Anyways, I'm fucking shaking. I actually did it. Bruh, I love him so much. So fucking much. Thank you for the support. And I think that's a wholesome little lovely story there. And I just love the realization from OP that they recognize, that they're bi. They're like, hold up, wait a minute. I'm bi. Just like that. So thank you so much for sharing that story with me, Helpy. And as always, if any of you guys have a story that's a favorite of yours, especially with an update, don't forget to share it with me on Twitter or however you want to share it. It's really helpful, and I love to read these stories, especially like hidden gems that I haven't seen before. But what do you guys make of this one? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And just a huge thank you for spending your time with me today. Getting involved in the stories, your love, support and time always means the absolute world to me. And it makes a huge difference to this channel. I know I say it every single time, but I can never express the real difference you do make. If you want to get involved further, at Mark Narrations over on Twitter, where people are sharing their pet tags, they're sharing what they're doing, they're crocheting, there's a whole load of it going on all the time. People in the gym working out whilst listening, I find it amazing. I'm fascinated by all this sort of stuff. So thank you so much for sharing that as well, and hopefully I will see you in the next one. Take care guys, much love.
Wake up, get up, stretch my legs, eat some breakfast, milk and eggs. Brush my teeth up, wash my face, throw my clothes on, start my day. Wake up, I can smell the smoke from the bacon. Let's go, see the sun shining from the windows. Okay, I know that today